Hey there, this is Maze Mad, and I'm basically doing my first YouTube video, and I never really thought of doing a YouTube video, but I've been wanting to talk about stuff for a while now, and this is the first little narration I want to do in my life, see what people say. To be perfectly honest, I'm not a huge, you know, YouTube internet guy, but give me a good console and, give me a Super Nintendo or a whole lot of video games, then I'm happy as a hog and shit. So to me, it's just kind of like, hasn't been my thing. And maybe it's because I'm just an older guy, my friend's hardcore internet. It's like, you wouldn't believe how many times I hear, get the internet, get the internet, get the internet. And I'm like, well, no, I don't really need the internet 80% of the time. But a friend of mine's been saying to me for a while, you're funny. Why don't you do something? Why don't you put something online? Why don't you like go on YouTube? And I'm like, well, you know, I don't know. What am I going to talk about? I'm a freaking nerd that loves video games, anime, and video games, anime, and Ravenloft books from the freaking old TSR generation. How's anyone gonna want to listen to what I have to say? But I figure, you know what? What the fuck? I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I figure, if he likes this, then hey, I'll put it online, but we'll see what happens. And if he doesn't like it, then we'll see what goes on. I actually made another video, but I found it might have been a little bit too much. I actually think it's a funnier video. And it's really weird. It's like I went over the top. I went and got political. I went and got hardcore. And I'm thinking about it. I listened to it like a bunch of times, and I was like, this is really good. But then I thought about it. I'm like, this is also going to put a lot of information. I really don't know if I want to put that much information online. Like, I think I'd rather just talk about innate stupid crap, like video games and, and old movies or something like that. Just something that doesn't put me in that situation. I'm actually putting up way too much information. Now, I'm not planning on really doing anything other than putting this little picture on, and maybe, I know it's going to be kind of odd to have just this picture. Just bear with me. If this actually takes off, I might actually look at actually doing actual videos and actually doing something hardcore and full, like, something actually unique, but we'll see what happens. So I'd like to talk to you about Chrono Trigger. Okay, I know there's been a lot of people that have done Chrono Trigger. I mean, a game theorist. I mean, angry video game nerd. I mean, there's probably millions of people. If you put the word Chrono Trigger, there's probably millions of Let's Play, millions of this, millions of that. But you know what? I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the first time this little boy back in the day got his first Chrono Trigger game, because it is the most funniest thing on the planet. And I still to this day think I am an insane psycho for doing this. So anyway, I hadn't even heard of Chrono Trigger when I first picked it up. Like, that's how crazy this is. I never actually heard anything about this game way back in the day, and I remember thinking to myself, Chrono Trigger. My friend picks it up and he's like, "Yeah, it's a really good game." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I'll even like it. It just sounds like Chrono Trigger sounds like a weird game. Isn't that like that Greek god guy? I know it's actually a Greek Titan, but." I know now it's a Greek Titan, but back in the day I thought it was just some Greek god. I think I heard it on Hercules back in the day. Oh God, Kevin Serbo Hercules. I will get to that later. But no word of a lie. I personally thought it was like, I'm not gonna like this game. So I go over to my friend's place, and this is just before Christmas, and I mean, he's playing this game, and I see it for the first time, and I mean, oh, I'm like, holy hell, what the hell is this game? I mean, it is Secret of Mana on crack. I mean, this is an amazing game. This looks awesome. This looks cool. I can't even, like, outright say, excuse me, I can't even outright say how amazing this game is. I mean, he starts playing, and I'm like, even that music blew me away. He's playing the Magus level, and that's actually the first introduction. When I saw that, being a kid, being someone who's into vampires, goth, the whole nine things, and I don't mean the ones that sparkle. I mean, oh my God, I am just in heaven. So I go and spend the night with him, and you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I didn't spend a night with him. I spent a night with his with his Chrono Trigger video game. Sleepover. My sleepover was with his video game. I really didn't notice he was there. I was just playing the game. So Christmas is rolling around, and I'm like, well, I really want this game, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it. So this is the first year my family actually starts giving me money. And I mean, I get like $150. First year, my family on my dad's side gives me some serious cash, and I mean, holy hell, I am loving it. Like it is just like wow, I have enough money to get Chrono Trigger, and Boxing Day I can get it for cheap. Maybe I can get Chrono Trigger, and I've been always wanting to get Mega Man. I think Mega Man X had come out at that time, or it was one of the Mega Man games. I've been really wanting for a long time, so I think I'm gonna go try get both. So I go out to start walking to my local game store at the time, which really was the word. Wow. Oh man, that game store. Okay, I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna drop stuff, but I mean, this is the worst game store on the planet. I hated it. It sucked. It was bad, and I was absolutely happy that another game store came out later. And I just can't believe how much this game store sucked. I mean, the people there were rude to anybody. The people there were just, it was just kind of like dealing with total douchebags on a daily basis. It wasn't even funny, how bad they were to people, how bad they were to kids. I mean, I would go pick up a game, and it's like getting used games for like $30, and then if you were to sell the same used game, they'd give you $3. And I'm like, how is that fucking fair? But anyway, I can go on that little tangent for a while, but I don't think So I get up and I'm like, well, I'm gonna head out and pick up my first video game and go walk out. Well, I go to go catch the bus and I totally miss the bus. And I'm like, well, oh well, it's a couple hours walk. No big deal. I'll walk there and maybe catch a cab back because I have enough money. I could probably do both. Oh well, I won't be able to pick up that Mega Man game I want, but I'll be able to do this. So off I go on the adventure. And I mean, it was an adventure. So I start walking, and it starts snowing, and I'm like, well, it's not so bad. It's snowing a little bit, and then it snows a little bit more. And I'm like, okay. Then it turns into a blizzard, and I mean a full-blown blizzard. I mean, I can barely see 2 feet in front of me. Holy hell, can't see crap, can't notice anything. It is complete freaking whiteout. And I am traveling around in Boxing Day, this guy just kind of wandering through the world, trying to find my game store. So I get lost a little bit because the snow had gotten really bad, and it was starting. And we already had a huge snow downpour, so it wasn't exactly nice to begin with. But add up another snowstorm, add to that, it just got worse. And the wind was blowing, so you're also getting like not only were you getting the snow, it was getting colder. It was just freaking freezing. So I go to the first store and I'm like, okay, do you have this game? They're like, no, we don't have this game. And I'm like, hell, that's just, what the hell do I do? So I go to the next store, which was a Zeller's at the time. I won't really say what happened to it, but it became a Target. And then that became a nothing. Gotta love weirdness. it just, I just couldn't believe it, like here I go to this other store, I go there, and they have like 30 games that, like 3 games from an old console. Like I think Sega Genesis was just finally hitting its last leg, so it was just like, who wants a Sega Genesis back then? Like here you got, like if you're an RPG guy, you're 100%. you were buying the Super Nintendo because that was the console for RPGs. Not saying that Sega didn't have some decent ones. Phantasy Star was okay, but like Chrono Trigger, Illusion of Gaia, I had picked up Final Fantasy VI, and no word of a lie, probably the best thing. Breath of Fire, and just one of my favorite things of all time. And I couldn't believe, like, what was I thinking? This is going to be something amazing. I want to actually, it's just the Super Nintendo was just all around the better system for me back then. So I was just like, wow, there's nothing but Sega Genesis games here. I don't think I actually want to buy any of these. So I don't see my Chrono Trigger. So I'm like, okay, where do I go? Where's the next store I go to? And so I'm like, well, there's like three Zellers in town, and there's a Walmart, and there's like a couple other stores. But, where do I go from here? So I decide to start traveling to the Walmart, which is another hour walk. So I'm like, I'm on my way to Walmart, I'm on my way to Walmart. And it's getting colder and colder and colder. The snow stops, but it starts to get cold. And I'm like, oh, hell. So I finally get to Walmart after freezing my butt off. And I mean, I am frozen at that point. Like, I couldn't believe how cold it was. It's like, my balls were like, blue at that point. Like, yeah, they just fell off. I don't know what happened to them. I think at this point I can legitimately say I have no testicles after that. I am never going to have children because of that. It started getting that cold. And I'm just like, okay, well, I walk over. Oh, do you have Chrono Trigger? What? Do you have Chrono Trigger? The shopkeeper's like, no, we don't have Chrono Trigger. And I'm like, oh, hell, where do I go now? So I'm like, hey, maybe I can catch a bus and get to, like, my by far end of the store and get to the other store that exists. So I finally catch a bus, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna catch this bus and take off and get to this other store that's out in the northbound part of my town. So I catch this bus, and the bus breaks down. No word of a lie. Bus just goes, and I'm like, what do I do now? I want this game. At this point, I had been out for like about, I figure, at least 4 hours, maybe 5 at that point. So I left at like 8 in the morning. I left at 8 in the morning. And I'm getting to the point where I just can't believe I've actually been out that long. you know, 8 in the morning. It's like, what the hell, I can't even lie at that point. I was just like, what was I thinking at this point? I'm cold. I've been out for a while, and there's nothing I can really do. I'm stuck on this bus. So finally after another couple hours, we finally see another bus show up, and this other bus shows up, and we hop all on, and we start going, and this other bus goes and dies. Not lying, fucking full on, this bus dies. 2 buses break down. At this point, I'm like, I want my game! So I get out of the bus, even though I am freezing, even though I'm like, even though I shouldn't, even though I'm dressed warm, but I wasn't exactly, Mr. Genius when it came into it. I wasn't really wearing, a lot of warm stuff. I was wearing my snow pants and a freaking jacket. That's it. So I just take off. 3 hours later, I finally get to this other store. And I'm like, do you have this game? Yeah, I probably could have caught another bus, but I hadn't seen one. And I was like trying to get there as fast as possible, so I was cutting through people's backyards. And so I figured, well, I might as well just cut through certain areas, alleyways. There's a lot of little side streets to get to this one area, and I can cut through a lot of places real fast, go up the streamline, go up the tracks, get to where I need to get. So I get there. Do you have this game? And I know word of a lie. The lady goes, we haven't had a Super Nintendo game in over a year. And I'm like, what? She's like, no, seriously, we stopped selling console games. What? No, seriously, we don't sell these games. We don't sell these games anymore. We don't sell consoles. And I'm like, why would a toy store not sell a console? They used to sell consoles, but for some reason, I guess the owner of the store decided to like literally say, hey, you know what? These games don't sell. We're not going to do this anymore. And I'm like, why? That doesn't make sense. Well, that's why that store ended up going out of business. But what the hell? Like, what the hell? So there's another big, like, Walmart type store, Zeller type store, off in the distance. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna catch a cab. I'll catch a cab. I'll get there. I should still have enough money to get the video game, and I'm going for it. Now, basically, around this time, I'm not gonna lie, internet really wasn't around. It wasn't really like you couldn't, in most places you couldn't just call to get information. Like, hey, like you could do now. I can call somewhere. Like, if I wanted to call Walmart, for example, they're gonna give me everything I want in like 5 seconds. I'll know exactly what I want whenever I want. So it's not as bad. But back then I was like, this isn't gonna happen. This is like no way. You can't get that information. You have to actually go to the store. So I hail a cab, get in the cab, and I'm off. You know. So anyway, we're going. All of a sudden, this cab driver hits an ice patch, and he goes into a ditch. And at this point, I'm like, God doesn't want me to have this game. God's like, screw you. You are not getting that game, Maze Mad. You do not want it. It is not your game. And I'm like, well, you know what? Screw this crap. I get out and I start hoofing it again. Finally get to this other store. Run into my friend. He's going and doing his Boxing Day shopping. Awesome. We start going. We run to go get this game. The game's not there. Star Fox is there. That's awesome. I've been wanting to get Star Fox for a while. But that other game isn't there. Chrono Trigger is not there. A part of me wanted to cry. So, anyway, I'm like talking, I'm like getting upset. I'm like, I wanted this game, what the hell? And my friend's like, well, there's that other mall way down in the southbound area. You can actually go there, and I saw the game there. I already have a copy, so I didn't bother buying it. And I'm like, wait, what? You mean the store I completely passed and didn't really think about going to because to be honest, this store, no word of a lie, they don't get games. Like, this store is like a little inlet of hell. It like had like they had a little like cafeteria, like little like place, like a little restaurant, and the restaurant served food that was 20 years old. It was just like, if you were to ever eat the popcorn, it would like literally probably eat you back. It was so covered in mold. Literally, it had a couple arcade games, and the arcade game was like Pong and Joust. It was just that bad. It was just like this really crappy store. Like, store lot. It's like those little like mini stores. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're like have like maybe 9 or 10 little stores in them, and that's it. So this other game shop, and I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess we'll go there. Because he's heading that way anyway. So I catch a ride, get to the place, get the game, and I'm like, this is amazing. I got the game. I spent an insane amount of time trying to get this blazing. So I go home, turn the game on, and the game doesn't work. No word of a lie. I've said that way too many times. Doesn't fucking work. How in the hell do you think that makes me feel? So my aunt shows up, and she says to me, oh, hey, Hey there, Maze Mad. Would you like, I got you this Christmas present. Here you go. And I open it up, and it's Chrono Trigger. I have never screamed like a little girl in my entire life. I gotta be no word of a lie. My voice has always been this voice. It's never really changed for some reason. Probably it froze my testicles. So, that's probably what's going on there. But I think I squealed like a little girl. It's like, wee! That type of scream. I ran downstairs, plugged it into my system, it worked. And no word of a lie, I played it for 4 days straight. Like, I think I slept, woke up, played it, went back to bed. Slept, woke up, played it, had something to eat, went to the washroom, went back to bed. I pretty much, that was all I did. It was my favorite game of all time, and I gotta admit, it I have not bought in the game version of it. I have every version that ever came out of it. And to be honest, whenever I look at my old Super Nintendo version of Chrono Trigger, actually out of all the games I have from back in the day, and most of them don't work, even that Chrono Trigger that I have from way back in the day, the one that doesn't work, I still kept it. And it's just the way it is. So it's that the adventure was what made that game worthwhile. And well, that's my YouTube video. I hope you like it. I hope my friend likes it, and if he does, then he'll put it on YouTube, and you guys, if you guys like it, maybe I'll do some more. Have a good one.